Kalinda and James, we know that we've done a video before, an interview video here, and I wanted to update this for our investors that have been taking a look at your company because some remarkable things have been happening. James, I see that you're out there in the field, in the shed. Kalinda, you're doing the same thing, out procuring sales. This is exciting. Thank you so much for allowing me to interrupt your day, your busy, productive days, and what you're doing with advanced farming. But do me a favor, just take us back to, for some of the folks that might be hearing this for the first time, the genesis of how things started, and just very quickly go to where things are today. We'll start with you, Kalinda.
Okay. Well, James and I sat down at the end of 2024 to come up with our goals for the upcoming year. And we had put a timeline of the first 6 months. Within the first 5 weeks of the year, we had already met all of our goals. The sales have grown much faster than we thought they would, and we're expecting a lot of reorders. Our numbers are looking great. We're anticipating many reorders. The interest is a lot greater than we thought. We have universities that are interested, wanting to do trials, which will just validate the results that we're getting already. James is working hard in the field. We're having to put on new workers to keep up with the demand, and everything's looking fantastic, better than initially expected.
Well, you know what? That's so exciting, Kalinda. I think it's a breath of fresh air to hear as an investor myself, and for investors listening. Normally, you get startup founders that embellish the numbers and are pie in the sky numbers. And you guys have been conservative as you've been building this. And again, if you're just joining and learning a little bit about what Advanced Farming System does, Kalinda Exter and James Bates, the founders of this company, it's absolutely remarkable what they've been able to do with some natural procurement of what I'll allow James to explain how this particular product works in drought situations, and being able to help those areas that have these challenges. Very, very significant, the results that you've been able to get. And this isn't anecdotal. We're not saying that we hope or think or it should work. You guys are seeing dramatic, dramatic results.
Yeah.
James, I'll jump over to you where you could share a little bit about what the product is, what it does, and the results you've been seeing, and why that really results to the demand that you have right now.
Okay, fair enough. I'll try to put this in a nutshell for everybody. The way that I look at this is we're the only company in the world applying fungus to leaves. So that is what we do, and we're going to be the best in the world at it. And right now, we're the only ones in the world doing it, where we apply beneficial fungus to corn and soybean leaves in order to get plants to yield better. It's as simple as that. There's a lot of science behind it, but our beneficial fungus do about 4 or 5 major things in that plant. They turn on growth hormones. They increase organic acid production, specifically salicylic acid production, which is drought tolerance. They keep out bad fungus, and what else do they do? It's just, and we do produce some nitrogen in that leaf from what we're seeing with the methylbacteria as well with our fungus. So my point is, if I was going to do an update and do a big picture for everybody, our inoculation rates are over 90% for biological. Everybody else in the industry is around 30%. We get plants inoculated. Everybody in the industry knows biologicals work. Can they get them inoculated? No. And so our claim to fame is how good we are at inoculation, and we're specialized in endophyte fungus. Everybody wants to use bacteria because it's easy to grow, easy to produce, easy to bottle. We took the harder route and went with endophyte beneficial fungus that live in the leaves, and got dramatic results along with our inoculation program. So AFS is special because of our inoculation rate and what we do in the field.
That is so remarkable because can you speak to maybe the ag tech type of investors and the folks that invest in ag, where it's like, wait a second, introducing fungus. Hang on a second. What about the fungicides that are out there that farmers inherently put on their crops? How does this hinder that? How does this help that? Can you speak to that a little bit, James?
We basically replace that. So we in the future we might go for a biofungicide label. It is known, our fungus are known to kill bad fungus in the industry. Fusarium and wheat is one of them. Scab, they call it scab. It is a monster, and We believe we can control that well going forward. Everything that we've sprayed, the farmers are no longer applying fungicides. So we are becoming their biofertilizer. We got a lot of work to do before we can claim that. We don't claim it yet, but that is probably coming in the future. But yes, there's $30 billion spent worldwide on fungicides a year. Just capturing a little bit of that market and getting the extra yield from it, is incredible for the farmers. So again, we go back to ROI. Our return on investment for the farmers is off the charts.
It is, and you bring up a good point, because when I think about yield, that's one thing. Their yield is increasing, but
Yes.
now they're eliminating the costs and they're sort of getting a 2-for-1 or more with your product and not having to invest in other fungicides. That
That's
just
right.
makes profit margins even higher on a greater yield. So
That-
that's something that's that's really turbocharging their crop, is what I'll say.
Yes, and farmers go through a cycle. The first year they watch it work, they go, whoo, and they reorder. Then the second year they go, okay, what do I cut back on? That's their question to us. We tell them what to test to cut back on, but we don't tell them what to cut back on. So yeah, we say this is the test you need to run, and you have to decide that for your farm. But you are correct. They can cut back on inputs and increase ROI at the same time, or yield. And fungicides are one of those. The farmers are cutting out late season fungicides.
One of the things that came up in conversation, because you've gotten a lot of interest, and congratulations on everything that you're doing, not only on the product side with sales. You guys are overshooting the estimates. You're likely going to have to adjust your financials because you've caught a lot of investors' attentions and buyers' attention. But one of the things that is out there, and forgive me for understanding very little about farming, but I guess there's a process of leaving a field fallow when you're extracting so many minerals out of the ground and for the benefit of the crops. One of the questions that came up is, if you're seeing such a robust yield, does that mean if a farmer doesn't have a lot of acreage to farm on, that it can be counterproductive if they can't keep up with all the minerals that are being pulled out of the ground with these crops? Can you speak to that?
Yeah. So I am going to speak to that and do probably an about face on you. So let's look at the crop. It's 40 to 50% carbon. I believe 25% basically oxygen, 15% hydrogen, and then 5 to 10% of that crop is NP and K. Everybody thinks that crop is all nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium. It's not. It's basically carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen you're pulling out of that field. So most farmers have a bank of nutrients that can last a very long time. There are some things you need to supplement. P and K, they're very good at it. They know how to do it. I am not worried about pulling out too much nutrients out of the soil. We are just fine. In a sandy soil, we do extremely well in a low nutrient sandy soil right now, because we can pull more carbon out of the air. And so everybody's mind is always focused on the 5 to 10% of the problem instead of the 90% of the problem, or 95% of the problem. Abiotic stress and biotic stress is what we cure, and that's 90 to 95% of the problem.
That's exciting.
So, yeah. I hope I didn't rain in people's parade about nutrients. They're easy to handle for farmers.
No, I think it's really exciting for anyone that would be listening to that to recognize that a farmer is going to be just fine and continuing to apply your product season after season. So
Yes.
One of the things I'd love to jump to, as the audience knows, and if you're hearing this for the first time, the company is in the middle of a raise, and click on the link below that has been popping up to get on my schedule. We can talk about a potential introduction with these folks here if it makes sense to do so. But related to the sales side, without going into the granular details of exactly what the sales numbers are, let's talk about percentages. So whatever that number would have been that you were expecting in sales, let's call that X at 100%. You were expecting that, and you hit and went beyond that. For the listening ear that has been on the fence, just taking a look at different companies and likely making an investment into your company as they listen to some of this. And we've been marketing and advertising your company. It's really exciting what's happening with investor interest. So with that being said, What would you say that number is above X by a percentage? Are you doing 25% better than you thought, 10%, 50%? What does that look like? And maybe Kalinda's got a close her fingers on the pulse of the market there, and she could speak to that as well.
I would say we're going to do double what we had anticipated.
Wow.
Awesome.
Wow. That
Yeah.
is incredible.
And,
Absolutely
and I
incredible.
do want to pipe in. That's because I believe we got into a regional distribution network and a national distribution network a year ahead of what we thought we were going to do. So, that's what made those numbers jump. So,
You know what's so fascinating about this, and I know a little bit about who you're working with in distribution, and obviously we're not going to disseminate that information here. Yet what is exciting about that is typically when you see these acquisitions down the road, right? What ended up happening is they were a strategic buyer first, then they became a strategic partner, then they became a strategic alliance, and maybe they're a strategic acquirer, right? I've seen over the years these phases that come through. And it's
yeah,
likely that could happen in the very near future because the robust returns that you're getting for farmers, it would be remiss for anyone that is a large producer of ag products not to be taking a close, serious look at your company. And certainly where the valuation would be today, where we're right now, you're raising a small amount of capital and we're disseminating that information through our marketing and advertising channels. But as you continue to grow, you may or may not need money in the future. You may decide to just cut things off because the valuation is going to go significantly higher at the very least. And if you do, well, then the investors are certainly not getting as much as the company as they possibly could at this time. But in any event, if you guys could just speak to what the horizon looks like with maybe without holding your feet to the fire, 3 to 5 or 7 or 10 years, whatever that would look like for a potential acquisition, because you guys are really bringing on a significant amount of sales.
okay. And this is an interesting part of it. So our margins are incredible for us. The margins are incredible for retail, and the ROI is incredible for farmers. And we have the piece that everybody's looking for, drought tolerance in the industry. So we are very marketable to the big companies. Once you take a little bit of market share from them, their eyes will open. I guarantee that. There's 2 or 3 that we know of that would love the product. Do we ever want to sell? We don't know. I don't know yet. I don't know if that's an exit strategy. You have to cross those bridges once you get a certain amount of market share. The market share that I want personally over the next 7 years, I think 5 to 7 years is a good shot, is 5% of 180 million acres. That nets us $100 million a year. And if you run the numbers, everything we're working on, and we have the right distribution model, we can do 5% of the 180 million acres of corn and soybeans. And with that said, those numbers seem astronomical, but there's 180 million acres of corn and soybeans. Yeah. And when you get into the right distribution models, you can gobble up 2 million acres pretty dang quick. One farmer has 20,000 acres these days. So I'm excited. We have what everybody's looking for is drought tolerance and abiotic and biotic stress tolerance. So the sky's the limit. How it works, how it ends up in 5 to 7 years. Yeah, I don't think anybody has a crystal ball, but we have ideas. We have things we're shooting for, and that 5% of the market's what we're shooting for.
Well, I so appreciate your humble spirit with conservative estimates. I think that's a breath of fresh air to investors. And yet, I think if an investor listening in has an M&A ear or background and recognizes that could be an exit, well, then you start just doing some small multipliers like 5 times, 8 times sales. Yes. And that's very, very realistic. So you're approaching potentially $1 billion exit if you decide to do that. Worst case scenario, you're delivering tremendous shareholder value. That's for sure that I think an investor would recognize. And Kalinda, I'll jump over to you with some closing thoughts here. I just wanted to take a moment to give an update because we've been marketing and advertising your company here for a couple of months. And then all of a sudden we had this slingshot effect where you had this tremendous interest. So my hat's off to you. And I'm really, really excited to see what the next few months with everyone just pulling on those products and where sales will end up, because there is a seasonality to this, and it's really, really exciting what you guys have been able to do in a relatively short period of time. So, Kalinda, any closing thoughts that you would want an investor to hear right now?
Well, I totally agree with James. We don't know where we'll be 5 to 7 years. We do know it'll be a great place, though. We're very positive and very happy with all of our results, and we'll cross each bridge as it comes our way. And things are moving faster than we could have ever dreamed. So we're very happy.
Izzy, can I share a thought?
Yeah, absolutely. Over to you, James.
The biggest thing that I think we do, and what gets me excited about the product, is we create the wow factor. So when they apply us, within 3 to 5 days, they go, wow, that is incredible what those plants look like. And so if you look at the iPhone, they create the wow effect. If you have a soda, it gives you the wow effect. Anything that's selling tremendously and you get repeat buyers, all the great entrepreneurs say you have to create that wow effect. I'm excited because I can create that wow effect, and we can, replicate it very consistently. And so I don't like pie in the sky worlds. I don't believe in them. But with the wow effect, then you can start climbing. You can start building sales and word of mouth marketing. It really works with the wow effect.
And
So
James,
that-
forgive me, because I think what you said is so valuable, because I don't think any investor that has been tracking your company, doing due diligence on your company, even knows and understands that the results on the pictures that you've showed before and afters, that was in 3 to 5 days. I don't think we have that very well disseminated. So
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure we heighten the visibility that they can expect a wow factor in less than a week.
Well, yes, the perfect pictures are in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, you can really see the difference. A farmer in 3 to 5 days goes, whoa, what just happened? That's the wow effect I'm talking about. And once they do that, they'll buy again, and
Yeah.
then they see the ROI. So, just doing your research on what makes businesses tick, what makes them grow. Every entrepreneur out there, the good ones, will say the wow effect.
Absolutely. Well, again, Kalinda, James, you guys have a remarkable company. Kalinda Exter, James Bates from Advanced Farming Systems. I am so excited. I'm honored to be a part of this project. This is a great season that we're in right now with so many changes that are happening in the market landscape, and you guys are doing a tremendous job. But I just wanted to do a quick update. Thank you so much for allowing me to interrupt your days and just taking this quick call. Kalinda, you're out in the field, and James out in the barn and doing your thing. And I'm just thanking you. I'm very, very grateful that you took the time to interrupt your busy workday so that I can update the investors. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Go ahead and click on the link if you want to get some time and get some questions answered, and we could potentially get you on a call with James and or Kalinda, or both at the same time, but we'll work that out. But I'm going to sign off for now, and I'm really excited about this project and look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Thanks so much, James and Kalinda. Have a great rest of your
Thank
work.
you, Izzy. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Yeah.